camera.
Positive.
How about them Giants? How about them Giants? How about them Giants?
Giants fans, what is going on? And thank you for tuning in for this very special episode of New York Giants Rush. Yet another episode of Draft Talk sponsored by Rush. Tonight is an extra special episode because we are interviewing tonight Cam Ward's high school football coach, Coach Brent Mashek, out of West Columbia High School, formerly West Columbia High School, now Flatonia High School. And not only are we interviewing Coach, we're also, me and Truth, for the first time in 4 years, are actually together live. We're in separate rooms for audio purposes and for camera purposes and for the sake of working the computer system. But me and Truth have been playing golf the last couple of days down here in South Carolina, and we're super excited to be here, do this interview. This is the second series of interviewing some of the top prospects and their high school football coaches. And we want to hear from them, you know, the background and the process of development of these respective players. So without further ado, let me bring in my partner in crime, Truth.
What's going on?
Not much is going on. You're teaching me great lessons with golf. I was on pace to break 100. Even though you told me not to keep score, I was monitoring it, and it has been super helpful. If I had continued to play 18 at that pace, I would have done it. So, Truth, I owe a special thanks to you.
Listen, you did a great job. I'm going to make this a golf lesson podcast, but you did a great job listening and just doing what I asked you to do. And we had fun. We had fun playing golf.
That we did. Truth, I think the New York Giants need a quarterback. What do you think?
Yep, and I think we're talking to the right coach here. If it was my choice, this would be the quarterback I would want. So I'm really eager to hear what Coach has to say about Cam Ward and a lot about his background and everything else about him.
Couldn't agree more. So let's not wait a second longer. Coach, how you doing tonight?
Doing great. Sounds like y'all's last couple of days have been a lot better than mine. We had a track meet we had last night, a softball going on, and y'all playing golf. So y'all really living a great life and stuff like that, and stuff like that. We got off season going on and things like that. But no, glad to be here and glad to talk about a great young man. And I know that word is used a lot, but Cam Ward is a special young man, and somebody's going to be very lucky to draft him, and they're getting a very good football player, but probably a better young man.
Absolutely. And Coach, let's start right from the top. How proud are you that a former player from your program is now the number one pick probably going to be the number one pick in the NFL draft? How special is that?
You know, those things are so special, but I'm probably more proud of what he's grown into becoming a young man. You know, as high school coaches, you know, yes, becoming an NFL. I've coached other young men who become NFL players, but as high school coaches, we want them to grow up to be great young men. And Cam is that guy. He's grown up to be a special football player, no doubt. You turn on the film and you know, film doesn't lie, but also he's a great young man, and that's what I'm most proud of. And all the things that he's doing and all the stuff that he's getting right now, all the recognition and all those things, he deserves because all the hard work. And you know, people doubted him coming out of high school, and we'll talk a little bit about that a little bit down the road, but people doubted him, and I think that kind of fueled his fire a little bit, and we all knew he had talent and things like that, but I'm most proud of the young man and he's become.
Well, that's outstanding, and we can't wait to hear more about his story and more about his journey. But if we take it way back, we'd love to hear more about your background first, how long you've been coaching football. Sounds like you've been doing a couple different programs. Are you from the state of Texas originally?
Yes, grew up in the small town of Shiner. Won a state championship. Was very lucky to win a state championship here in the state of Texas. And if you know anything about high school football in the state of Texas, to do that is very difficult. Been coaching high school football here in the state of Texas for 29 years. Been a head football coach for 18 years. Had the pleasure of coaching Cam for 4 years, all 4 years. We had something special. When I got the job at West Columbia, he was an 8th grader. So we go down to the junior high and start doing football drills with junior high with 8th graders. And we're running a little bootleg. And I said, you know, Cam, the flat's open. And he said, well, coach, that deep route is open. So he threw it about 50 yards down the field. I said, okay, we got a kid with the arm here and stuff like that. So I knew we had something very special. As a freshman, he played with the JV and the freshman team did an outstanding job. Sophomore year, we started playing quite a bit more. And then as a junior and senior, really took off. And something else about Cam, he was an excellent basketball player. Could shoot three-pointer like you could not believe. But football, he could just throw the football unbelievable. And, we did a lot of 7-on-7, and people were just amazed by how he could throw the football in the tight windows that he could and the things that he could do with the football, throwing the football.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that we wanted to touch on. When did you first hear the name? But you clearly said it in 8th grade. That's when you were introduced. And he was a quarterback all the way back then, too, right? It wasn't like he was playing another position and transferred to quarterback?
No, he was a quarterback. As soon as I got there, he was a quarterback. He was 6'2", about 230, 235. And, people would say, well, move to tight end and stuff like that. But he had that air about himself that you want as a quarterback. People followed him, and he didn't have to scream. He didn't have to yell. He just knew how to get the huddle straight, people followed him, and he knew where everybody was supposed to be. We put the offense in at the junior high. If you've ever been around junior high kids, 8th graders trying to put in a new offense, it's kids running all over the place. But Cam kind of got it, and he was telling the linemen where to line up within a week of it and stuff like that. So we knew we had something special early on with him, and he just hung with it and got a lot better as the years progressed, and had an outstanding high school career, and then proceeded into college and had a few bumps in the road with his recruiting. But again, I think that all is part of his story. That's what made him so great right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And one question I want to ask, I looked it up. The system that you ran was the wing T offense, right? And yes, I understand the system. So in high school, I went to Pennsbury High School in the suburban Philadelphia area. And our head coach, Galen Snyder, ran a similar system. Now, I understand the system because I played in it, but a lot of our viewers aren't familiar because it's not used at the NFL level. Could you explain for our viewers how the wing T works?
The wing T is a lot of misdirection, a lot of under center stuff, a lot of bootlegs and stuff like that. Now with Cam, with the wing T, we're not the truest wing T. We're going to stick to all the wing T stuff. We did a lot of 5-step drop with Cam because we wanted to use his arm and stuff like that. We did a lot of 3-step drop passing and 5-step drop passing game and stuff like that, and a lot of bootlegs and things like that. We're not a shotgun team, and a lot of zone read and all those sort of things. But the wing T is a lot of guard pull in and a lot of misdirections, stuff like that. And to me, he ran the offense so well, and he understood what everybody's assignments was and stuff like that. So again, I thought he handled the offense very well. He still threw over 1,000 yards, 1,200 yards. I can't remember what he threw, but he was a big part of what we were doing offensively each year.
Yeah, wow. Didn't you win the Jerry Rice Award as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
And, and we allowed him, tell you the intelligence he had. We would give him a couple plays to call the line of scrimmage early on in his career. And then he would see what the defense was line up to, and he would adjust to it and stuff like that. And, high school coaches to give that to a quarterback, to give that confidence and to give that leeway to a high school kid was a lot. So, but he handled it very well and handled it well.
And what Cam Ward, we see him interview. He seems like he's great with the interviews. A lot of Giants fans, by the way, a lot of us, favor Cam's media presence because it seems almost similar to Eli Manning's, and that might be the kind of personality and the kind of media type that you need to be able to handle New York. What was he like personality-wise and as a leader?
He's very playful. Again, he's not going to be very confrontational to everybody else, but he's going to get everybody's respect because he's going to be there every single day. He's going to work hard every single day. He's going to be where he's supposed to be, and he's going to do his job. And is he going to cut up sometimes in the huddle? Yes, he is. and he's going to have fun doing it. But when it's time to go to work, he's going to go to work. And kids respond to him. Adults responded to him. So he was a great leader to us. And when it was time to, hey, guys, enough, he took over the huddle, and the kids responded very well to him. And he has that presence about himself. You know, everybody's seen those videos with him and the quarterback from Colorado, them joking around. That is Cam 100%. You know, just them, after school, they were throwing the football around, 7-on-7 practice, football practice after school. You know, we would sit there and see who could hit the goalpost from 50 yards out and stuff like that. And just them jawing back and forth between each other and stuff like that. But that's Cam, but that's building that camaraderie between teammates and stuff like that. So he's going to be a great leader. He's going to make someone a great leader and a great quarterback in the NFL. No doubt about it.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. I wouldn't question it. You know, I think seeing, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, but seeing that he was with 3 college football programs and was a leader in 3 different college programs within 5 years, it speaks a lot of volume to him.
Yes, exactly. And, people gravitate to it. And I think it's something you just have. It's nothing you can teach. It's just something that you have. And again, I go back to his parents. His parents were unbelievable. His mother was a teacher and a coach there at West Columbia. His dad's a professional, works at one of the plants there. Super people. And I say this, but also here, never once was in the principal's office. Never once. And he was a great young man. And I think that all goes back to his parents, the way he was raised. We hired his sister to be the girls basketball coach when I was at West Columbia. So he comes from a very athletic family, and he was raised right. And, his mother and dad, both of them, hey, don't call me if you got any discipline problems with him. Coach, you take care of it. And we didn't really have much of that with him, but, so he was raised right. And I think those things, and I bring all that up because those things were just, that's him. And he leads in that example and leads kids in that way.
Yeah. And Coach, and when he made the decision to stay in school this past year, did he consult with you at all about that, or it was something that he already knew he was going to do?
I texted him here and there just a little bit, and really it was between him and his dad. I had colleges reach out to me, but I really sent that all to his dad. His dad was kind of him and his dad would kind of make that decision. My advice, and the only thing I told him was I was his biggest cheerleader. And that's what my thing was to him. If he ever needed any advice, I was here for him. But him and his dad was going to make the best decision for him, and those sort of things. And it was the best thing for him to go to Miami. And without question, I mean, look where he's at now, and those things. So, and I'll tell you this: my phone was ringing off the hook. Every college, where is he going to go? What do we need to do and stuff like that? And I'm glad he went to Miami. It was a great fit for him and had a great year there.
Yeah, and just to see what he did, he was a runner-up finalist in the Heisman Trophy, right? He was a David O'Brien Award, the Manning Award, consensus first team All-American, ACC Player of the Year, ACC Offensive Player of the Year, first team All-ACC. So you're right, he made a great decision, not only going back to school, but going to Miami.
Well, you take all those awards away, but also some of those games that came back and won when they were behind. And I think that to me speaks more value. And all those awards are great. And, at the end of the year, it's about wins and losses. And yes, they lost a couple of games there at the end, but some of the games they came back and won with his comeback ability, they came back and won some of those games. And again, I go back to his leadership and his quick release and his arm talent that he has. I think just they're unmatched right now.
Yeah. And Coach, we talk about that.
And Mike, he should have won, and he should have won the Heisman. Go ahead. I'm sorry. If I had a vote, he was top of my vote. So go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, nothing to apologize
for. I'm a little biased, though. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
he was certainly deserving of it. He's certainly up for consideration. Obviously, there's a lot of talented players up there, but he's certainly one of them. And like you said, you're his coach, you're his greatest cheerleader. Got to go with Cam Ward, right? And if he got it, I don't think anybody should have been too surprised. That's for damn sure. What I will ask is this: he started out in Incarnate Wood as a 0-star prospect, supposedly a 0-star prospect. What was that like in the recruiting process? We want to hear more about that because we interviewed Jalen Milrose, coach, and that was a little different because he was one of the top guys and he's got Alabama and Texas. What was it like for you as a coach?
The most frustrating time, and again, I had a Adrian Waddle, who I coached, played for the Patriots, got drafted by the Lions, played at Texas Tech. I also coached Javaris Williams, played for the Texans and stuff. Cam was very, very frustrating. During the off season of his junior year, going to his senior year, we had, you name the college, we had them coming down. And we took off season time and we basically ran a 7-on-7 so the college coach could watch him throw. And I had more, and again, you name the coach, they were sitting in my office saying, you know, coach, he throws the 15-yard out better than anybody in the state of Texas right now. But, you know, it was always a but. And I was like, guys, y'all are just, missing out on this. It's this reason, it's whatever. It was always a reason. He took some recruiting trips, and then Incarnate Word, Coach Morris there, who's at now North Texas, took a chance. And took him there at Incarnate Word, and it was a COVID year, and took him there, and Cam just blew up. They played in the fall there and just blew up, and just had an unbelievable year. And broke all the records and stuff like that, and really got into a system. And I go back to what you said about the wing T. Got into a system where it was shotgun, a lot of quick passing game, and a lot of RPOs and stuff like that, which we didn't do in high school. But he did a lot of RPOs and stuff like that, really fit into his game, and really blew up. And then after 2 years at Incarnate Word, Morris got the offense coordinator job at Washington State. So he followed him there to Washington State. And then again, just had an outstanding career there. And then when his time was up, he was going to go looking to either go to the draft or go to Miami, and then ended up going to Miami. But going back to the recruiting thing, a lot of these coaches that were sitting in my office no longer have a job, and I bet you they wish they would have took them. And I say that with tongue in cheek because there's still some out there, but they just, for whatever reason, they picked him apart just for whatever reason. And I had a quarterback coach from one of the big schools in the SEC say, Coach, he's got the best arm I've seen. I said, why don't y'all take him? Well, the offense coordinator doesn't like him. And it was the weirdest thing. It's just they picked him apart. But it was to me, and I think me and you were talking about this, I think this really drove Cam to where he's at now. And it drove him, hey, I'm going to show these guys they really missed out. And I do text them that a lot, hey, when he was playing certain people, remember, they talked to you and they didn't offer you, they thought of this of you and thought of it and stuff like that. So I really thought that really motivated him a lot and did a lot for his career and stuff like that. And and I was talking to the Houston Chronicle. They did an article about him. It's a great story. 0 to 5 stars, all that doesn't matter. It's what you do on the field. And I think it's a wonderful story for anybody out there. It's what you're going to do when you get that opportunity. Cam got his opportunity at Incarnate Word. It doesn't matter where you start. It's where you're going to finish. And to me, Cam is the perfect example of that. And now look where he's at.
100%, Coach. Bottom line, at the end of the day, all these coaches or these D1 coaches that you sat with, they were wrong. You were right. I'm curious to hear what some of these buts are. And I want to ask you something, and maybe it's not relevant nowadays. Does the school size or the remoteness of a certain town in which the high school is in play an effect? The only reason I ask is we've actually had a couple of former Giants on before. And some of them had similar stories where maybe they were lightly recruited out of college, but then they balled out in college. And they all said that sometimes like small town guys get missed. Did that play into any effect? But probably not if you're talking to all these coaches already.
I don't think that really played. West Columbia, we're 45 minutes outside of Houston, and I would call some schools the smaller colleges, and even in the state of Texas. I said, guys, y'all need to come down here and look at them. I begged them, and they wouldn't come, and for whatever reason. And I had, D2, D3 guys said, Coach, no one has gotten him yet. Let me call so-and-so, try to get him down here. They wouldn't come down. And, and then after Cam started going off, I would see some of these coaches at clinics and stuff. They said, we really missed out on this one, didn't we? I said, yes, you did. and things like that. And again, I think God has a plan for us all, and God had a plan for Cam, and it all worked out at the end for Cam. It's a great story, and I think it's a great story that it should be told to every kid that has a dream about playing in the NFL, whatever you want to do. Don't let somebody tell you can't do it, because if you believe in yourself, you can do it. And he started at Carter Ward, which was a great starting place for him, had great success, and then went to Washington State. They treated him outstanding there, ended up in Miami. Now he's going to be probably the number one pick in the NFL draft. I mean, those things are what goddamn moves are made of and stuff like that. And it's an unbelievable story. And everything he's got, everything he's doing, he's worked at it. And he's got unbelievable talent. Yes. And yes, he does. But he's also worked at it. So I'm, again, so proud of him and proud of his parents and proud of the whole situation.
Yeah. And, when you talk about how special his arm is, and what I like about him is not only that, he's very creative. He throws from so many different slots.
Yes.
When he has to, he's not like robotic,
no.
And that's what I like about him a lot. And I think that's what sets him apart from the other quarterback that's mentioned in the top of the draft going, Sanders. That's what I like about Cam Ward,
And it's one of the things that he would do that a lot. Just 7-on-7 has become really big in the state of Texas in the springtime, and we did that a lot. And I don't know if that turned off some of the recruiters. Boy, he doesn't have that natural throwing motion. But I would tell him he has the slot, what you said, and he has the quickest release I've ever seen. He has such a quick release. Like I told you, we did a lot of 3-step game, the slant, the stop, or whatever, the out. And I mean, the quick release that he has and stuff like that. And in his, whether he can throw the ball, all the different angles and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't want to ever compare him to anybody, but he reminds you a lot of Patrick Mahomes with the arm where he throws it in the arm socket, motion and stuff like that. What you were just saying, Mike, I agree. Yeah. I agree 100% with you. He can throw it at all the different angles and stuff like that, and that's where I think he makes his plays. He's not going to run at the combine. Again, I don't know if he's going to run or not. He's not going to run a 4.4, but he's going to make plays in the pocket, out of the pocket, because of how he can throw the ball at different arm angles.
Yeah. Yep. And look, we've seen it at the next level, though. And some of the players or some of the quarterbacks that can run pretty fast, it doesn't really translate to the pocket presence, the ability to maneuver within the pocket. I think that's one of the attractive things about Cam Ward is how good he is at moving around the pocket. And if he needs to, he escapes the pocket, but he stays poised that entire time.
I agree. And that's one of the things. And that's where I think I'm going to get on the soapbox here, playing multiple sports. He was a basketball player, like we talked about earlier, and he was a 3-point shooter. He loved shooting, and he would always find that little spot to shoot the 3-pointer. And again, that translates. And you think this is kind of funny, but he could just find that little open spot, and you see that in the pocket too. He just moves. He's constantly moving around. He's finding those open spots in the pocket, constantly moving around and stuff like that. And he doesn't get out of whack when he gets moving around and stuff like that. He keeps his eyes downfield, because a lot of the young quarterbacks, I have one right now, he's a freshman, he's going to be very good, but as soon as he gets going and moving in the pocket, he puts his head down and he doesn't keep his eyes down the field. And that's one of the things that Cam does. He's not looking to run, he's looking to throw the ball when he's moving around the pocket. And something that you just got to continue to teach and coach, and I think it comes naturally too as well. Yeah,
another thing you mentioned about that pocket presence, he's got such great, like he doesn't dance. Like he watched a lot of quarterbacks, they have dancing feet. I guess that's how they describe it. He looks very, very secure in the pocket. Like he knows what he's going to do, even though he's moving around. If I'm explaining it right,
Yeah, and again, it goes back to his intelligence. He's a smart kid, and and he understands where he needs to get to and stuff like that, and he understands where everybody should be and where he needs to get to and stuff like that. So yeah, he doesn't have happy feet. If you ever watch him, he doesn't have happy feet, and you see a lot of young quarterbacks in the NFL. They have those happy feet. They feel that pressure. They get happy feet, and they want to get out of there. When he's getting out of the pocket, he's getting out of the pocket for a reason. And those sort of things.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Now, I mean, talking about his college, I mean, when he graduated from high school, did you say to Cam, like, hey, Cam, you're absolutely killing it, and you're going to do excellent in college. If I were you, I would focus on maybe this aspect of your game. Like, did you feel like there was anything that he had to continue to develop throughout college? And clearly he did. He is where he is. But was there anything that you felt like was developed during college that was something of an obstacle that he had to overcome, if you will, in terms of his play?
My biggest thing, is prove people wrong. And to me, that was his biggest thing, and I think you can get so far by motivation. And that is the biggest thing, being slighted and being questioned and you're maybe not good enough. I think really pushes men to do unbelievable things, and I think that really pushed Cam. And I'll text that to them every once in a while. Hey, they're still questioning you. They're still questioning you, and those sort of things. So I think motivation, that and those sort of things. And he have work on his body without question, without question. He slimmed up a little bit, got more muscle mass, and those sort of things. But that comes with naturally. I mean, he grown up and things like that, and those sort of things. But his arm talent was always there, and I always felt like it was going to get better. He could always throw the deep ball well, and I think his intermediate passing game has gotten so much better as well.
Yeah, I got to say, and if you want to see some impressive highlights, of that deep ball, that Virginia Tech game this past year, that was my favorite game of Cam Ward in college, just because the comeback that they had to pull, the way they pulled it out, that was an incredible game. What was your favorite game of Cam Ward throughout college?
Too many. Oh my gosh. We watched them all, and I have two sons that they would send me highlights all the time because, again, we're working all day Saturday, so they would send me highlights of them and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that one was very special. You talk about that. We beat El Campo. This is going back to high school.
Okay.
I'll tell you a high school story real quick. We beat El Campo. El Campo's a powerhouse in this area. We beat El Campo in El Campo for the first time in about 40 years. And Camp throws about a 60-yard bomb, and it's in the air for 60 yards. I mean, just a bomb, and it lands right in the basket of the guy's hands, and it's just an unbelievable pass and stuff like that. And it was a big turnaround for us, and ended up winning the game and making the playoffs and stuff like that. So that was one of the highlights to me of his career. But there's so many highlights. I could just go on and on and on about the highlights and stuff like that. But again, I'm more proud of all the accomplishments he's doing. I know we're talking about sports, but of the young man that he's grown up to be and the great young man he's becoming.
It sounds like to me that not only would he be, as you said, a great football player, but he'd be the kind of guy that would get the Walter Payton, Man of the Year award for what he does off the field and how he is just as a person in general. Like I expect that out of him based on everything that you're telling us.
Without question. And when you work with high school kids, that's what you want. You're trying to develop great football players, yes, but you're trying to develop great young men, and he's one of many of them. But he's a special young man, and whoever's going to get him, they're going to get a great football player. And I know at the NFL, it's win or you get fired, and Texas high school football, same thing. Win or you get fired. But it's also they're going to get a special young man who's going to be great for the community. Going to do special things for the community. He's going to be great with the press. He's going to do a lot of great things for the community, and he's also going to win a lot of football games with his arm and his leadership and things like that. Someone's going to get a special football player, and I know y'all hoping it's going to be the Giants, but we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully they can pull it off a trade. We'll see.
Well, that's just it, because we don't know if he's going to be available at 3. I doubt it. I mean, in truth, I'll hand it to you for the next question. But what I tend to monitor the most, and this sounds kind of ridiculous, but as the telling sign as to who's going to get picked first overall, there's tons of analysts. There's all the big ones that get paid a lot for this, with their guesses. But the gambling sites actually tend to be the most accurate with predicting it. So whatever analytics they have is way better than whatever these analysts say. So I stay tuned to that. And then if you go on to, DraftKings or any of these betting sites, I'm not trying to promote gambling here. That is not what I'm doing. But it'll put the returns of, if you bet $100, let's say, for Cam Ward to get picked number 1 overall, it's a negative return, meaning that he's probably going to be the person that goes number 1 overall. That's not to say the Titans will go number 1 overall, but they're anticipating that if it's not the Titans, it's going to be a trade. So it seems pretty clear cut. Truth, I'll hand it to you for the next question.
Well, we have the combine coming up, and I don't know if it's been official yet, if he's going to participate in that. Because usually they just wait for the pro day so they feel more comfortable with their own players throwing to. But I do know that they will do interviews, and you talk about his character as a person. I think that goes a long way with these kids getting where they get in the draft, where they go through the interview process. When these NFL teams get to speak to these young men and get to know them, aside from being a football player. And you had just mentioned that about Cam, about how he is as a person. So,
well, I think that's going to be where he's going to probably just jump to the front of the line. And with that, and then they're going to get him on the board, and he's going to just blow them away and stuff like that. I was reading an article, and I don't remember the quarterback, but it went very high. And the teams were sending him a playbook, and they said, "Did you read the playbook?" And they said, "Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did." Never looked at it because at the very end, it was something at the end.
$100 bill.
Yes, that's what it was. And so he lied the whole time. But anyway, when they're going to interview Cam, I think they're going to really fall in love with them. People are going to fall in love with them, and they're going to say, we're going to have this guy on our team because, again, the quarterback in the NFL has become the most important position in sports. It is, and you got to be the quarterback that throw the football, but also you got to be the leader of men. And when things get tough and things are going crazy, everybody looks at the quarterback, and that's where Cam, I think, really sets himself apart.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I guess my next question here is, and this could be general, and we understand that you're a Cowboys fan, and we're gonna have to up here.
Don't say that very loud. I grew up a Cowboys fan. I don't know about this lately.
Well, we're having the same struggle over here with our team. We're gonna have to team up for now against the Eagles, and that's pretty much that. But do you have a preference? And this could be anybody. Obviously, we know who the top teams are in the draft. Do you have like a preference as to what coaching staff or what team might get him, just for the sake of his development or for the sake of making sure that he's enabled to the best of his abilities?
Yeah, a better fit for him. Yeah.
No, I really don't. I think Cam can. He's going to succeed wherever he goes, and that hasn't really crossed my mind a whole lot and stuff like that. So, I just want him to go to a place that he's going to be comfortable with, and also that they got good skilled kids around, good skilled guys around them, and also most important thing is good offensive linemen. And they have an offensive line, because I think so many quarterbacks get so beat up early in their career because they want to build. People don't think about it. They get a new quarterback and they don't build from the inside out, and they just get so beat up. another team from the Houston Texans, David Carr. I mean, this goes back a few years, but they throw him out there. They don't have an offensive line, and he gets so beat up, and he's never the same. And that's just one story. There's so many stories like that. Of that, so the Jets have really went through that story too. They draft these great young quarterbacks, so really just make sure they have the protection that they need and stuff like that, because it is going to be a different game in the NFL and stuff like that. But I have no doubt that Cam's going to succeed.
Yeah, and truth, I'll hand it to you for the next question, but you're completely right. Derek Carr at the time was the most sacked quarterback. I said Derek Carr, David Carr. He was the most sacked quarterback ever that year. And it destroys his development. We go back through the list. You go online, you see the list of the biggest draft busts. A lot of the time it's the quarterbacks that are taken number one overall because they go to dysfunctional teams that don't have all those assets in place to help enable a quarterback. But when they call these quarterbacks a bust, a lot of the times it's not on the quarterbacks. They just went to bad systems, bad teams. Tim Couch, we can go through the list here of so many that were like that. So I really do hope for Cam's sake that he goes to a team that, has something in place that at least enables him on offense and gives him protection. Because the last thing you want to see is for him to get overly beat up.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the most important thing to me is going to be the protection. To me is protecting him early on and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, but when you think about it, if he goes early in the draft, any of those teams have good linemen, offensive lines? So that's kind of a double-edged sword there. So they need to address it, obviously, if they do select him. But one thing I want to ask you, Coach, and I got annoyed with this one when it happened, and it looks like it's behind him now, Cam, because he's projected to be the first player off the board. But when he sat out that second half of that bowl game against Iowa State, he got a lot of flack for that, and I don't know why they gave him such a hard time, because so many times a lot of college kids don't even play that last bowl game. But
because the media has to talk about something. We have so much media. We have to have something to talk about. It was predetermined. The team agreed to it. It was, to me, it was nothing to talk about.
Right.
It was
no big deal.
There's no big deal. And I think you said it 100% right. Most of the time, they don't even play that game. I mean, Cam didn't even have to suit up. He was going to be the number one pick, before then. And he played that first half. It was talked about. The head coach from Miami came out before. It was talked about before that he was going to play the first half, and that was going to be it. And it was talked about and stuff like that. So I took that with a grain of salt, and that lasted about 2 days of media, and then it moved on to something else. And I think that's not going to hold much.
All for the best. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I actually thought what he did was pretty honorable to even play that one half. Like, that spoke a lot of volume. Like, we'll be there for the team, but obviously, everybody wants what's best for him as well. So yeah, the bowl game, but I'm sure, there was no reason to create a hoopla over it. But as you said, the media will create a circus out of nothing. But seems well behind him at least.
Oh yeah, I think it's behind him. Yeah. And that's a tough decision. I mean, it's a tough choice, because if you're the head coach from Miami, you want to respect and play Cam, but then you also, a lot of times those college coaches are getting ready for next season, so he's trying to work his new quarterback in and stuff like that. So, but that's all behind him and stuff like that. So, and Cam was on the sideline. If you really watched the bowl game, if people really watched the bowl game, he was over there coaching the quarterback probably harder than anybody else. And helping him, and that was him all the time. He was, like, if we did scrimmages or we were in a blowout, we would have the backup quarterback. He would coach the quarterbacks harder than anybody else. He was telling them what they were doing wrong or right, stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, and another thing you mentioned earlier, I'm backtracking a little bit. How Cam Ward was battle tested. He had a lot of games, and I don't know how many this season, but he had a lot of games. He had to lead his team to game-winning drives, and that to me says a lot about a young player, especially quarterback, who can do that, stay in the moment, keep the team together, to do that. That's not easy. That's not an easy thing to do.
Mental toughness.
Yeah.
And one of the sayings that we have is tough people win. And it's not, I'm tough, but it's being tough mentally and being, and those things. And, I guess Dick Saban has said it best, and, and everybody's kind of jumped on it. Don't look at the scoreboard. Do the next play, play the next play, play the next play. Just keep playing, keep playing. At the end of the game, look at the scoreboard. And I think Cam does that better than anybody. Just keep playing. And he has the flair for the dramatic and stuff like that. And you never had a game with that arm. I mean, he's got the big arm. I mean, he can throw it and make the big throw anytime.
Yep.
Truth, I don't want to steal one of your questions that I have here, but I'm very curious.
You can.
I just want to make sure we get to it.
I'll talk about this today on the golf course or no? The questions?
Yeah, we've been preparing for the questions that we wanted to go over.
Yeah. While you're in the woods or in the rough or where?
Truth is on the truth is right next to the hole, and I am on the next. I'm in the alligator pit out here.
Yeah.
So
He's
I got to fight off dangerous wildlife to keep my.
Yeah, he's being modest. He did a great job for somebody.
You sound like a coach. See, if you're a good golfer, you're not a good coach. If you're a bad golfer, you're a good coach. So that means if you're a good golfer, I'm not hiring you as a coach. Okay, so we're good. So I'm on a golf.
I could vouch. He is the unicorn. He is good at both.
Okay, there you go.
I'm going to steal this question.
Go ahead.
Coach, if somebody if you were asked what the difference was, or why Cam Ward should be drafted over Shedeur Sanders, what would your answer be?
Number one, I think Mike brought it up, the different angles that he can throw the football. He can arm angles that he can throw the football, and he can throw every throw on a dot. If you want to throw the 15-yard out, he can. If you want to throw the dig, he can. You want to throw the deep post, he can. Every throw he can make, and every arm angle, every arm slot, I mean, he can throw it. And also, I would say his pocket presence. He didn't take a whole lot of sacks, and both of them are very good players. And please don't take this any way that I'm knocking the other quarterback at all. I think he's a great player, but and I'm very biased because I think Cam is a great player, but I just think you tell him any throw you want, he can make it. And the different arm angles and arm slots that he can make it in and stuff like that. And the way the NFL is, and we were talking about protection, you're not going to block everybody. With all the blitzes, the blitzes that you see in the NFL, you're going to have three people coming at you. And how are you going to get the ball off? And you're going to have to throw it at different slots and stuff like that. So that's where I would take Cam over anybody right now.
For sure.
And then finally, I would just think leadership, just the way, again, never been around the other quarterback, but just being around Cam, I just know how he would demand leadership in the huddle. I think from day one, he's going to take ownership, and he's going to be around veterans and stuff like that, but he's going to demand that leadership. And I shouldn't say demand, it's just going to come naturally to him that everybody going to know he's the man.
Yeah, and Coach, would it be a fair thing for me to say that Cam makes plays around him better?
Without question. He's going to get the ball to the playmakers where they can make plays. And you can see that, Miami was middle of the road team, and all of a sudden they get him, and all of a sudden these players are now, you look at all these mock drafts, which I'm doing now with Cam. You look at all these mock drafts, a lot of those Miami players are really shooting up the draft board. Well, what's one thing in common? It's Cam has been throwing the football to him, and those sort of things.
Yep, he's going to make those two receivers
a lot of money.
Yeah,
making them a lot of money. Yes, sir.
Well, that does speak volume, right? If he's elevating the players around him, maybe instead of these guys being, 7th round picks, UDFAs, he elevated them being 2nd round picks. He's got a tight end and a wide receiver that's going pretty high in the draft.
Very true. Yes, that's who I was talking about. I totally agree with you. Those guys are, he's paid them a lot of money just the type of year he has, and that's what he's going to do. He's going to get the ball in their playmakers' hands and where they can make plays, and he throws a catchable ball too. Where it's he's not going to throw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball at you at 5 yards. He's going to throw a catchable ball, let you make a play, and go get it.
And another thing, don't overlook the running back Martinez. You know, the team's focus on Cam Ward, and of course Martinez had a pretty good year. He's a third round. He's a day 3 pick.
Yes,
sure.
I saw that too. Yeah, and he. Again, Martinez probably was that talked a lot about before this year. Now all of a sudden, he's going to be drafted in the NFL draft because, again, not just because of Cam, he's got a great talent, but I think Cam really brought a lot of that in too as well.
Absolutely.
Truth, we're sort of nearing the end here. Do you have any final questions? I'll hand it over to you. I have one more, but I'll save it for the end.
Well, look, it's no secret. I've been on Cam Ward's bandwagon, and even from last year when I thought he was coming out. Obviously, he wasn't projected as a first-round pick, but I thought that would have been a great pick to have him come in and let him just develop. But he decided to go back to school, which was the right decision, absolutely. And I would he'd be the quarterback I would want the Giants to take. I've been very adamant about that, so I can't say anything bad about him. I think he's an excellent quarterback, and I'm hearing the coach. He's a great person too, which I didn't know.
And and I think what you're saying with the NIL and all that stuff's going on in college, I don't think you're going to see that where kids are going to be leaving us early and coming in and developing. I think you're going to see them staying. They're making as much money in the NFL. Let me stay my senior year. Not saying that's what Cam did, but you're starting to see that more and more. And it's a changing world out there and stuff like that. So yes.
I think what's exciting is it's seemingly benefiting these quarterbacks pretty greatly, right? Like you had a couple guys last year, Michael Penix, Bo Nix, that I think them staying back really helped, because if you go to the NFL, early, or really back in like the 90s, 2000s, they would be considered on time. You hit your year 4 mark, you've started for a year, you got to go because otherwise you risk injury because there's no NIL money for you here in college. They're leaving development on the table. They're leaving another year of resume building, another year of coaching before you get to the pros and you're ready. I would have to imagine Cam Ward, after 5 years of starting, he's foaming at the mouth to play.
He's ready.
Football.
Yeah, he is. I think he is. And again, I think he's ready to take over a franchise and be the face of the franchise. And I couldn't think of anybody else you would rather have as the face of your franchise as that young man. And I think any franchise would be so proud to have him as face of your franchise.
Yep. Well said, Coach.
Yeah, well said. And perhaps to sum it all up, Coach, if I were a coach or a general manager of any of these NFL teams, and I called you for an elevator pitch on Cam Ward, what would you say? How would you best sum him up all in one?
Number one, he is a wonderful young man, and he is a great football player. But better than that, he's a better person. And I think that's you can say that about anybody. I think that's the ultimate compliment, and to me, that's the ultimate compliment to him. And I'm again proud of him, so proud of him, proud of what he accomplished, because again, he fought through being non-recruited, all that stuff, and he kept fighting through that, and nothing was given to him. And I think that's part of the story that maybe people are not really talking about too. Things were not given to him. So yes, you're foaming at the mouth, like you just said. He's going to be really foaming at the mouth again. He wasn't a 5-star. All these things were given to him at an early age. He had to really work at it, and I think he's going to continue doing that in the NFL.
Yeah, that's great to hear, and I'm very happy for this kid with his journey, because he's going to go to one of the NFL teams, and even if it's not the Giants, I'm going to be super happy for him for all the work that he's put in to get to the NFL level, to be that top draft, and I have no doubt that he's going to excel at the next level. Coach, well, I still have you. I understand that you're coaching at Flatonia High School. We want to help you promote. Are there any current players or anybody like that you want to give a shout out to on the program, or you want scouts to look at?
Well, we got a lot of good young men here, and We got a young man that just committed to Texas Lutheran University, and he'll be playing there next year. Really got a great young freshman quarterback that's going to be coming up, and been working with him, and hopefully one day we'll be talking in a few years about him the same way we're talking about Cam and those sort of things. He's got a lot of potential and stuff like that. So it's a work in progress, and been doing this now for 29 years. So, but I love it. I love it every day. Every day you wake up and you're making a difference in young men's lives, and you can't ask for anything more.
Yeah. Cam Ward's story is nothing short of incredible, and it's still unfinished. The book is being written.
Absolutely.
Coach, we want to just thank you so much for joining us tonight. We appreciate it. We understand that you're busy. You're an athletic director and a high school football coach, and I have a lot of respect for the amount of work that you have to do. So thank you so much for joining us. Sorry you had to go back to your office, but we just want to say from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for coming on here and talking about who's going to be you're a phenomenal player who played under your belt, and we're super happy for you, and we're super happy for Cam Ward, and hopefully he's a New York Giant, and I'll just say that and finish it.
And I tell you what, the entire community. I'm no longer living in West Columbia. We moved to Flatonia to be close to my family and my wife's family, and the entire community of West Columbia is so proud of Cam, and I still talk to a ton of people there and stuff like that, and they're so proud of him, what he's become and stuff like that. So everybody's very proud of him, and we're really anxious to see what's all going to happen.
Yeah. Well, once he gets drafted, we'll certainly be in touch, and send a congrats, and we're just excited to see where he ends up and whatnot, and how he progresses throughout his career. So, Coach, again, thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
thank you,
Coach.
Appreciate it. Giants fans, thank you for all tuning in. We do appreciate you guys hopping in. We know on Twitter how many of you are very passionate about Cam Ward, so we obviously want to have this special episode. And obviously we'll go from there and see what happens. The next few months will be very interesting. Until then, Giants fans, take care. Truth, golf course, first thing tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Peace.
Take care.